shore. Oh, oh, oh.
Release to those who are captive, to bring recovery of sight to the blind, and to let the oppressed, anyway, go free. Happens to be Jesus' first sermon, first thing he talked about. He was 30 years old, started his ministry. He talked about releasing captives, and he talked about helping those who are oppressed go free. So naturally the church, by extension, needs to be involved in all that. The United Methodist founder is John Wesley, lived in England a couple hundred years ago. I'm not quite sure if it's a couple or two or three churches or something. Anyhow. But in England, there was lots of problems, and among other things that he addressed in his preaching and teaching and the actions were they condemned slavery. And he did it on numerous occasions. And as a matter of fact, 6 days before his death, he wrote a letter to William Wilberforce, who was a British parliamentary leader in the fight against slave trade, and this is what he said. This is the founder of the Methodist movement. Be not weary in well-doing. Go on in the name of God, and in the power of God's might, to abolish slavery in any form, which is the vilest thing under the sun, until it vanishes away before it. So there's 4 million United Methodists worldwide, and we're guided by lots of things. The Bible, our theological statements, but we also have what's called the social principles. And in those social principles, we reflect our responsibility to care for the natural world, creation, the economic community, the world community, the social community, and the nurturing community. And under the nurturing community, it says, among other things, we deplore all forms of the commercialization, the abuse, and the exploitation of sex. We call for strict enforcement of laws protecting the sexual exploitation of children, women, and men, and for adequate protection, guidance, and counseling for them. The United Methodist Church has several divisions. One of them is called the Church and Society. It's a general board that's based in Washington, D.C. And Bacola, you should stop in when you go there sometime and see what the United Methodist, your church, is doing, the General Board of Church and Society, okay? And they are involved in human trafficking on a national, international, and local level. They say, human trafficking is violation of the human and civil rights that enslave thousands of people across the globe. And the United States Trafficking Victims Protection Act defines what it is. This is what we support, and this is what we promote worldwide. Sex trafficking, in which a commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, and coercion, on which a person induced to perform such an act does not attain 18 years of age. And we're working to fight recruitment, harboring, transporting, providing, obtaining of a person's labor for the services through the use of force. And they refer to a couple other scripture verses from Ecclesiastic. Again, I looked and I saw all the oppression that was taking place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed, and they have no comforter. Power is on the side of the oppressors. They have no comforter. That's from Ecclesiastes 4:1. And then for 2 Corinthians, now the Lord is the Spirit, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. So as Christians, we are to be about freeing people from oppression. Okay? And it says, as United Methodists, we proclaim faith in the God of freedom and condemn slavery as wrong and incompatible with Christ's teaching. We recognize that we are called to follow Christ in proclaiming release to the captives and setting the oppressed free. This is what the General Board of Church and Society is doing. They're working in 7 different annual conferences. Minnesota's a conference. United Methodist, Minnesota's a conference. So around the United States, they're working in 7 different conferences, trying to organize campaigns in communities like this and support groups and supporting people who are doing independently like Wacola is. They also participate and lobby through the United Nations Commission on Status and Role of Women, and they have board members from the United Methodist Church on that organization. They also endorse and promote the Rescue and Restore Initiative, and if you want to know more information about that, I can tell you how to get it after this, okay? And we also have women who are involved in the United Methodist Women. And one of the emphases of United Methodist Women throughout the years has been human trafficking. United Methodist Women works in 14 different countries against human trafficking. And one of them is Thailand. And that's what I want to show you some pictures about right now. I'll just pass these around. Take a look at them. I was over in Vietnam and Laos and Thailand in October, visiting a number of ministries of the United Methodist Church. And one of them was up in the northern part of the country in a city called Chiang Mai. Just north of Chiang Mai are the mountains. And there's several ethnic groups that are up in the mountains. The mountains of Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos and Thailand have what we call the Hmong people. Over there they call the Akha, here we call them the Hmong, H-M-O-N-G. Large community of Hmong here in Minnesota, right? So we're trying to make a connection between Hmong here and Hmong in Southeast Asia. Well, one place I visited, and there's pictures there, is of the, you have the pictures? Oh, you have my notes too. Yeah. Okay. If you'd like to look at my notes later on, you can. But we run what is called the Angels Haven Orphanage. And unfortunately, a lot of these people in the Hmong, the ethnic group and others, go down to the southern part of Thailand, or they're forced to go down there. And they participate in the slave industry, the sex trade industry, and their parents die. And of AIDS. And then the children have AIDS. And we take them in at the Angels Haven Orphanage. And this is the pictures of the kids there. In the Hmong culture in Thailand, up in the mountains, you probably get a 5th or 6th grade education, and that's all they have. And unless someone, a family relative or somebody else takes them in another part of Thailand, Bangkok or something like that, they're not going to get an education if they don't go to school. You might stay on the farm, and you might not stay on the farm, or there's this temptation. They're vulnerable to people who would exploit them and say that they can come down and make a life in the city, but what's happening is that in this sex trade industry. Here's some information about human trafficking in Thailand. Thailand is a source, a transit, and destination country for men, women, and children trafficked for the purposes of commercial, sexual exploitation, and forced labor. Thailand's relative prosperity attracts migrants from neighboring countries who flee conditions of poverty, and in the case of Burma, military repression. Significant illegal migration to Thailand presents traffickers with opportunities to coerce or defraud undocumented migrants into involuntary servitude for sexual exploitation. Women and children are trafficked from Burma, Cambodia, Laos, the People's Republic of China, Vietnam, Russia, and Uzbekistan for commercial exploitation. A number of women and girls from Burma, Cambodia, and Vietnam are trafficked through Thailand's southern border to Malaysia for sexual exploitation. Ethnic minorities, such as the Northern Hill Tribes people I've been talking about, who have not received legal residency or citizenship, are the most high risk for trafficking internally, and then it goes abroad. And they go into primarily Bahrain, Australia, South Africa, Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Hong Kong, Europe, and we know the United States, Minnesota, and the Twin Cities. That's just a little background of what the situation is and what the United Methodist Church is doing about it. Any comments or questions? Not that I know a lot.
I want to applaud you because at least you are acknowledging the problem. For any number of years, I had women within my church congregation saying, "We don't talk about that," when I wanted to talk about just domestic violence. And when I did pass around some material I got from a friend of mine from my domestic violence group, she went to that commission at the UN. She's a member representing the Roman Catholic Church. She brought back some DVDs and things. I passed that around my adult forum planning committee meeting last May or June. You would have thought it was a hot potato. So I say, good for you. You're acknowledging it and you're talking about it. And that is so important.
Thank you. That's a pretty good comment, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Education is one of our goals, isn't it?
Well, thank you for the time, and I look forward to, like all of you, to hearing what everybody else has to say.